Hey, uh, Romeo's just killed Tybalt. Well, to be fair, Tybalt killed Mercutio, and then Romeo stuck up for his boy, and then, as luck would have it, he's just killed the cousin of his wife, who he's probably been married to for, I don't know, a couple hours maybe? Anyway, some things go right for Romeo, even though Lady Capulet begs for Romeo not to live. I mean, that was the prince's original plan, that if you break the peace, you will die. Because he's sick of it. He's sick of the fighting between the Capulets and the Montagues. But a few things go right for Romeo. Number one, the prince is related to Mercutio. Number two, Romeo essentially just did what the law was going to do anyway, which was to kill Tybalt for killing Mercutio. So the prince decides that, you know, banishment banishment is enough for Romeo. He's just not allowed to be in Verona anymore. And if he comes back, he will have to suffer the consequences. You know, in due time, mostly in part from the nurse delivering the news. She delivers it quite badly, by the way, but she eventually does deliver the news that, you know, Romeo has killed her cousin, and she's totally conflicted. You know, on the one hand, Romeo's her husband. On the other hand, Romeo just killed her cousin. How dare he? She uses what's known as oxymoron. She uses a bunch of them just to show how conflicted she is. This is vocabulary.com.
Oxymoron.
Yeah. I like that they offer examples first. So the oxymoron includes phrases like jumbo shrimp or open secret, or maybe even in our case, social distancing, wherein it's a word or a phrase that contradicts itself. And part of the reason why I like vocabulary.com in this case is that they also use an example from Romeo and Juliet, where Juliet, as Romeo is parting from the balcony, once again she says that parting is something like sweet sorrow. Of course, sweet and sorrow contradict one another quite a bit, which is what makes it an oxymoron. And that is the plural of oxymoron. Juliet uses a whole bunch of oxymorons to convey her conflicted feelings. She says of Romeo, she says, "Oh, serpent heart hid with a flowering face, like he's so beautiful, but with such an evil heart. Did ever a dragon keep so fair a cave?" And then these are true oxymorons. She calls him a beautiful tyrant. Essentially, she calls him a wicked angel, a dove-feathered raven, a wolvish ravening lamb, despised substance of divinest show. And then she almost uses the exact definition of an oxymoron. She says, "Just the opposite to what thou justly seen. A damn saint." I just got to swear on camera. "An honorable villain." Eventually she says, "Was ever a book containing such vile matter so fairly bound? I mean, he's so perfect, and yet he's so terrible." And it's Romeo's banishment that drives her most to despair. That's the way Romeo feels as well. In the next scene, he's essentially like bawling his eyes out in Friar Lawrence's cell. That's where he flees. And he's like, "God, my luck, my bad luck." The nurse somehow knows where to look for him. And Romeo, wild with guilt at the pain he's caused Juliet, he threatens to kill himself. He ramps up the drama pretty good. And the friar sets him straight and tries to lay out a plan for how to proceed from here. And in most scenes, this first line suggests that maybe Romeo is laying on the ground. Like, I don't know, is it a temper tantrum? Is it a sort of, pouting thing where he's laying on the ground? He's like, "What? Rouse thee, man. Like, get up." And then he reminds Romeo, he goes, "Look, Juliet's alive, for whose dear sake thou was but lately dead. Like, remember Rosaline, when you felt dead inside, and then you met Juliet, and she's alive, and she made you feel alive again? He says, there art thou happy. Look, Tybalt was going to kill you, but you killed Tybalt. Be happy about that. There art thou happy. The law, which was supposed to kill you, has become your friend and turns it to exile. There art thou happy. And he reminds Romeo, like, look, there's a pack of blessings on your back. Be happy about it. And the friar lays out a plan, like, here's how this is going to go. It's not even that bad, Romeo. It's just going to take some time. And time is what they don't have. This play is moving awfully fast. He suggests to Romeo, he says, go get thee to thy love, as was decreed. Ascend her chamber hence and comfort her. Like, go make Juliet feel better. He says, but look, hey, don't stay until the police are out at night. Then you're not going to be able to pass to Mantua, which is the place where Romeo is going to live now that he's not allowed to live in Verona. I'm sure a number of people have looked this up before, but from Verona to Mantua by highway, by the way, at probably 60, 70 miles an hour, which is not going to be possible for Romeo, probably on horseback, takes about 50 minutes. So I don't know how long it would take to travel by horse, but I don't know, a day's journey? He's not even going to be that far away, but this is where he's going. Mantua. It's like one town away. 2, maybe 3. I don't know. It's not very far away, though. Where you're going to go to Mantua, where you shall live till we can find a time to shine light on your marriage, which nobody knows about because I married you in secret. Bring your friends together. Ask the pardon of the prince. Ask for forgiveness, and then we'll call you back. This isn't even a number, but he uses this ridiculous number with 1,000 times more joy than you went forth and your lamentation, your crying and your sorrow. We're going to bring you back with all this joy. It's just going to take some time. Problem is that Shakespeare keeps throwing these wrinkles in to mess with the timing of the way the story is unfolding. And on a sudden impulse, Capulet promises Paris that Juliet will marry him the day after tomorrow. That's going to be Thursday. It's a perfectly logical plan in his brain. He thinks that all her crying is over Tybalt's death. And it may very well be a portion of it, but she's also upset about what her husband has done, his banishment, maybe even her role in it. She may feel some guilt. But anyway, her father's just arranged a marriage to Paris. Romeo's at the house, as was decreed. Friar has told him to go and comfort her, and just before dawn, Romeo's preparing to leave the Capulet house when the nurse barges in and is like, hey, Lady Capulet's on her way up. Of course, Romeo can't be seen in the house. Juliet says, then window, let day in, let life out. He's got to go anyway. It's daytime. He can't even be seen in Mantua. Sorry, in Verona. And then this weird thing happens. Most people think it's some foreshadowing. Juliet's like, you think we shall ever meet again? And Romeo's like, yeah. And all these woes shall serve for sweet discourses in our time to come. Everything's going to be fine down the road. And then Juliet has this vision or this image. She goes, oh God, I have an ill-divining soul. Great word. Methinks I see thee. Now art so low, as one dead in the bottom of a tomb. You look pale, darling. And Romeo's like, he just blows it off. He's like, trust me, love, in my eyes, so do you. It's dry sorrow that drinks our blood and makes us look pale. And then he says, goodbye, adieu. Lady Capulet enters Juliet's chamber, just letting her know, like, we're going to have vengeance for this. Romeo will suffer. Fear thou not, she says to her daughter, and then stop your crying. She says, I'll send to somebody in Mantua where Romeo, that banished renegade, doth live, and that person shall give him such an unaccustomed dram, poison, that he shall soon keep Tybalt company. And then I hope thou wilt be satisfied. And Juliet, not knowing what to say, it's a little bit of wordplay on her part. She says, indeed, I never shall be satisfied with Romeo till I behold him. That's for her. This word is for her mother. Till I behold him dead. Yeah, that's what I want too, Mom. Vengeance. Oh, there's good news, though, too, Lady Capulet says. And she says, look, your father has decided that we are going to marry you to Paris in a couple days. Juliet has no idea what to say. She's already married. Upset at the news, she tells her mother and her father she's not going to marry Paris. And they're like, look, we're not going to go back on our word. This is a powerful, influential man. We will disown you if you do not marry him. And then she turns to the only other person left in the house who can maybe help her out, the nurse. And the nurse's advice is this. She's like, look, Romeo's banished. And all the world to nothing that he dares never come back to challenge you. Or if you do, it needs must be by stealth, like he's going to have to sneak in. He would never come back and challenge this new marriage. He's banished. And she says, since the case so stands as now it doth, the nurse says, I think it best you marry with the county. Marry Count Paris. He's a lovely gentleman. And then she trashes Romeo. She says, Romeo's a dishclout to him. He's like a dishcloth. She says, beshrew my heart, I think you are happy in the second match, for it excels your first. Paris is better than Romeo. And even if that's not the case, it's like Romeo's dead. Or, 'twere as good he were, as living here, you living here, and no use of him, because he's not allowed to be in Verona. And now Juliet feels betrayed. She can't go to her mother, she can't go to her father. Her nurse has just turned her back on Romeo, and she quickly comes up with a plan. She's like, well, I'll go to Friar Lawrence. I'm going to pretend I'm going to go to confession, asking God for forgiveness for the way I've treated my mother and my father. And Juliet says, she says this of the nurse, she's all that damn lady, that damn old lady, ancient damnation, almost wicked fiend. How dare you say that trash about my husband? And then she makes a decision. She says, go, counselor. Like, get out of here, nurse. The nurse is not even on stage. This is a soliloquy. But Juliet lets the audience know how she feels. She says, thou and my bosom henceforth shall be twain. In other words, you, nurse, are no longer in my heart. I'll to the friar to know his remedy. Like, maybe the friar can help me. If all else fail, myself have power to die. It's very dramatic. What a coincidence. Guess who's at Friar Lawrence's cell making arrangements for their wedding? Her new fiancé. Friar Lawrence is a very popular priest. Everybody seeks out Friar Lawrence for their weddings. In the privacy of the friar cell, Juliet ramps up the drama again. She says she'll kill herself before she marries Paris. Friar Lawrence has the answer to the problem. And here's where your reading task kicks in. I'll read it, but in the best way that you can, whether it's in your packet or it's on a separate sheet of paper, you need to be able to figure out what the answer to the problem is, according to Friar Lawrence. And it's a weird one. It's a weird one. I know that you can follow it because it's written in English. You just may have to spend some time with the finer details, focusing on what you do know in order to lay out this plan in a short piece of writing, whether it's in the side here in the margins or on a separate sheet of paper. But this is your goal. What's the friar's plan? And he says to Juliet, he says, hold then, go home, be merry, give consent to marry Paris. Wednesday is tomorrow night, look that thou lie alone, let not the nurse lie with thee in thy chamber. Take thou this vial, which is a small glass bottle, being then in bed, and this distilling liquor that's in it, drink thou off. Drink this liquor. Not really liquor. But when she does drink it, through all thy veins shall run a cold and drowsy humor, for no pulse shall keep his native progress, but surcease. No warmth, no breath shall testify thou livest. The roses in thy lips and cheeks shall fade to wany ashes. Thy eyes' windows will fall, like death when he shuts up the day of life. And each part, deprived of supple government, shall stiff and stark and cold appear like death. And in this borrowed likeness of shrunk death, thou shalt continue 42 hours, and then wake as from a pleasant sleep. Now, when the bridegroom in the morning comes to rouse thee from thy bed, there art thou dead. Then, as the manner of our country is, in thy best robes uncovered on the bier, thou shalt be borne to that same ancient vault where all the kindred of the Capulets lie. And in the meantime, against thou shalt awake, shall Romeo by my letters know our drift. And hither shall he come, and he and I will watch thy waking, and that very night shall Romeo bear thee hence to Mantua. And this shall free thee from this present shame, if no inconstant toy or womanish fear abate thy valor in acting it. So that's the plan. Your job is to summarize it, translate those words. How would you describe the friar's plans using as many details as you can? And in the meantime, Friar Lawrence sends his buddy, Friar John, on an errand to let Romeo know what the plan is while he's in Mantua. Good luck with that translation. I'll come back with some answers to it in a day or two. Good luck.